Why do some people instantly make others feel comfortable, respected, and important, while others create resistance without even realizing it? Why do some people build trust, influence decisions, and improve relationships almost effortlessly, while others keep facing conflict, misunderstanding, or rejection? And why do so many smart people fail, not because they lack knowledge, but because they do not understand people? This is exactly what How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie tries to solve. This is one of the most famous books ever written on communication, relationships, persuasion, and human behavior. And the reason it has stayed relevant for so many years is simple. People still want the same things they always wanted. They want to feel respected. They want to feel understood. They want to feel important. And they want to be treated with dignity. This book is not about manipulation. It is not about fake charm. And it is not about becoming someone you are not. It is about learning how to deal with people more intelligently. In this video, I will break down the most important lessons from the book in a simple and practical way. By the end, you will understand how to make people like you more naturally, how to avoid unnecessary conflict, how to influence others without force, and how to communicate in a way that builds trust instead of resistance. Let's begin. Part 1: Fundamental Techniques in Handling People. Before Carnegie teaches how to win people over, he starts with something even more important: how not to push them away. Because many people damage relationships without realizing it. They criticize too quickly. They complain too often. They correct people harshly. And then they wonder why others become defensive or distant. Carnegie begins with 3 core principles. 1. Don't criticize, condemn, or complain. This is one of the most powerful lessons in the whole book. Most people believe criticism helps people improve. But Carnegie argues that criticism usually does the opposite. Why? Because when people feel attacked, they become defensive. Instead of reflecting, they justify themselves. Instead of listening, they protect their pride. Instead of changing, they look for reasons why they were actually right. And that makes sense. Almost everyone wants to believe they are reasonable. Even when people make mistakes, they usually do not think of themselves as bad or foolish. They think they had reasons. They think the situation explains their behavior. They think others do not understand their side. So if you begin by criticizing them, you create resistance immediately. This does not mean you should never correct anyone. It means that direct blame is usually a poor strategy if your goal is influence. Criticism may release your frustration, but it often reduces your effectiveness. Carnegie's message is simple. If you want better results with people, attack the problem carefully, not the person's dignity. This applies everywhere. In friendships. In marriage. In parenting. In leadership. In business. A lot of conflict becomes worse not because the issue is huge, but because the tone becomes insulting. So the first principle is not just be nice. It is: understand that ego and self-respect matter in every human interaction. 2. Give honest and sincere appreciation. If criticism pushes people away, appreciation draws them closer. Carnegie says one of the deepest human desires is the desire to feel important. People want to know they matter. They want to know their effort is seen. They want to know their presence has value. This is why sincere appreciation is so powerful. When someone does something well, notice it. When someone helps you, acknowledge it. When someone has a strength, mention it. Most people are quick to notice mistakes. Few are quick to notice effort. That is why appreciation has such strong impact. But Carnegie makes something very clear. It must be honest. Not fake praise. Not empty flattery. Not manipulation. People usually sense the difference. Flattery tries to get something. Appreciation recognizes something real. And because real appreciation is rare, it becomes memorable. A person who feels genuinely valued around you will naturally feel safer and warmer around you. This is one of the easiest ways to improve relationships. Become more observant of what is good in people and say it sincerely. 3. Arouse in the other person an eager want. This is one of the most practical persuasion principles in the book. If you want someone to do something, stop thinking only about what you want. Start thinking about what they want. This sounds obvious, but most people forget it. They speak from their own needs. I need this done. I want this. This matters to me. You should help me. But people are most motivated by their own interests. So if you want cooperation, show the other person why something matters to them too. This applies to leadership, parenting, sales, negotiation, friendship, teamwork. If you understand what the other person cares about, your message becomes more persuasive. Carnegie's point is not to become manipulative. It is to become more thoughtful. Because communication improves when you stop assuming your own priorities are enough to motivate others. Part 2, 6 Ways to Make People Like You. Now Carnegie moves into a famous section of the book. How to make people like you. Not by pretending. Not by showing off. But by using habits that naturally create trust and warmth. 4. Become genuinely interested in other people. Many people try very hard to be interesting. They want to impress others. They want to sound smart. They want attention. But Carnegie says the better strategy is different. Become interested instead of trying so hard to be interesting. Ask people about themselves. Listen to their experiences. Be curious about what matters to them. People are drawn toward those who make them feel seen. And the key here is that the interest must be genuine. Not mechanical. Not fake. Not just a social trick. People can feel when your curiosity is real. And because so many people are focused on themselves, genuine interest stands out. This principle is extremely powerful because it works almost everywhere. If you want stronger relationships, stop waiting for others to notice you first. Notice them first. 5. Smile. This sounds simple, but Carnegie includes it for a reason. A real smile changes the emotional tone of interaction immediately. It communicates openness, warmth, friendliness, ease. People do not only respond to words. They respond to emotional signals. A tense face can create distance. A warm face can create comfort. Of course, this only works when it is natural. A fake smile feels forced. But a genuine smile is one of the easiest ways to improve first impressions and daily communication. People remember how you make them feel. And often, warmth matters more than polish. 6. Remember that a person's name is, to that person, the sweetest sound. Carnegie places great emphasis on names. Why? Because a person's name is closely tied to identity. When you remember someone's name, you show attention, respect, and personal recognition. When you forget it, the other person may not always be offended. But remembering it creates a positive impression. This is especially important in networking, business, leadership, social interactions. People like being remembered. And remembering names is not really a memory trick alone. It is often a sign of attention. If you truly care enough to notice, remembering becomes easier. 7. Be a good listener. Encourage others to talk about themselves. Many people think good communication means speaking well. But Carnegie shows that a huge part of communication is listening well. Most people do not really listen. They wait. They interrupt. They compare. They prepare their reply. But when someone feels truly listened to, they feel respected. And that creates connection. Carnegie teaches that if you want people to enjoy talking with you, become someone who encourages them to speak. Ask questions. Show attention. Respond thoughtfully. Give space. People often enjoy conversations most when they feel heard. So if you want to become more likable, do not begin by trying to say brilliant things. Begin by learning how to listen deeply. 8. Talk in terms of the other person's interests. This connects back to the earlier principle. People care most about what matters to them. So if you want to hold attention, build rapport, or persuade, speak in terms of what the other person values. This does not mean pretending to care about random things. It means being thoughtful enough to connect your communication to their interests, not only your own. This is useful in sales, relationships, friendships, teaching, leadership. The more your message connects to what already matters to them, the stronger your impact becomes. 9. Make the other person feel important, and do it sincerely. This is one of the deepest principles in the book. People want significance. Not arrogance. Not worship. But significance. They want to feel that their opinion matters. Their effort matters. Their existence matters. When you treat people as important sincerely, you improve the emotional quality of almost every interaction. You become someone people feel safe around. And again, sincerity matters. This is not about exaggerating. It is about respect. True influence often begins when people feel valued in your presence. Part 3. How to win people to your way of thinking. Now the book shifts from likability to persuasion. This part is very important because many people lose influence through the way they argue. 10. The only way to get the best of an argument is to avoid it. This sounds extreme, but Carnegie's point is smart. Most arguments do not create understanding. They create winners and losers. And even if you win logically, the other person may feel humiliated or defensive. That means you may win the point, but lose the relationship. This does not mean never disagreeing. It means avoid ego-based arguments that are driven by pride, not progress. A calm discussion is different from a hostile argument. Carnegie is warning against the kind of conflict where the main goal becomes proving someone wrong. Because once ego enters, truth often leaves. 11. Show respect for the other person's opinions. Never say, "You are wrong." Few phrases close people faster than, "You're wrong." Why? Because it attacks not just their opinion, but their ego. A better approach is softer and more intelligent. "I may be mistaken. Let's look at this another way. I understand why you see it that way." These phrases keep dignity alive. And when dignity stays alive, conversation remains open. If your goal is truth plus influence, respect matters. People do not absorb ideas well when they feel insulted. 12. If you are wrong, admit it quickly and emphatically. This is a sign of strength, not weakness. Many people defend themselves automatically, even when they know they are wrong. But Carnegie says it is often better to admit your mistake quickly. Why? Because honesty reduces conflict. It also disarms the other person. When you admit fault openly, the emotional tension drops. And your credibility often rises. Why? Because people respect those who are mature enough to own mistakes without excuses. This principle is useful in every area of life. The faster you stop defending what is clearly wrong, the stronger you become. 13. Begin in a friendly way. Tone matters a lot. If you begin a disagreement harshly, people close up. If you begin gently, people stay more open. Carnegie teaches that a soft opening often leads to a better outcome than an aggressive opening. People are more willing to listen when they feel safe rather than attacked. This is not weakness. It is wisdom. 14. Get the other person saying yes, yes to immediately. Carnegie suggests beginning from agreement. Find shared ground early. Why? Because agreement creates momentum. If the conversation begins with conflict, resistance grows. If it begins with common ground, cooperation becomes easier. This principle works because people are more receptive when they feel alignment rather than opposition. 15. Let the other person do a great deal of the talking. This is another reminder that influence is not domination. If you talk too much, you miss what really matters to the other person. When they speak more, you learn more. What they fear, what they value, what they believe, and what motivates them. Influence improves when understanding improves. So do not rush to control every conversation. Let people reveal themselves. 16. Let the other person feel that the idea is theirs. People are more committed to ideas they feel ownership over. If you force your conclusion onto someone, they may resist it. But if you guide the conversation so they arrive there naturally, acceptance becomes easier. This is especially powerful in teamwork, leadership, negotiation, parenting. People support what they help create. 17. Try honestly to see things from the other person's point of view. This is one of the most valuable habits in the book. Before trying to persuade, understand. What does the situation look like from their side? What are they protecting? What are they afraid of? Why does their position make sense to them? This does not mean you must agree. It means you must understand before expecting influence. Empathy is not only kindness. It is also strategic intelligence. 18. Be sympathetic with the other person's ideas and desires. People soften when they feel understood. If someone feels frustrated, recognize the frustration. If someone feels disappointed, acknowledge it. If someone feels misunderstood, show that you see it. Many people rush too quickly into correction. But sympathy opens doors that pressure cannot. 19. Appeal to the nobler motives. People like to believe they are acting for good reasons. So when appropriate, appeal to fairness, honesty, responsibility, generosity, integrity, This often works better than force, because people want their self-image to feel honorable. 20. Dramatize your ideas. Facts matter, but presentation matters too. A vivid example, a clear story, or a memorable comparison can make an idea more persuasive. This is especially important in content creation. Dry truth is often ignored. Clear and vivid truth is remembered. 21. Throw down a challenge. Sometimes people rise when challenged. Not insulted. Not shamed. Challenged. A meaningful challenge can awaken pride, effort, and energy. This is especially useful in leadership. People often want to feel called upward. Part 4 will be a leader, how to change people without giving offense. This final section is about correction, leadership, and guidance. How do you help people improve, without humiliating them? 22. Begin with praise and honest appreciation. If you need to correct someone, do not start with attack. Start by recognizing something real and positive. This creates openness. People are more receptive when they do not feel reduced to their mistake. 23. Call attention to mistakes indirectly. Direct embarrassment often creates resistance. Sometimes a softer approach works better. Not because the truth changes, but because delivery affects reception. 24. Talk about your own mistakes before criticizing the other person. This shows humility. It says, I'm human too. That makes guidance easier to receive. Correction feels less like judgment and more like help. 25. Ask questions instead of giving direct orders. Questions invite cooperation. Orders often create resistance. When people feel involved in thinking, they feel more ownership over the result. This builds better relationships and often better outcomes. 26. Let the other person save face. This is huge. Even when someone is wrong, protect their dignity where possible. Humiliation creates resentment. Respect preserves trust. A person who loses face may obey outwardly, but resentment grows inside. Leadership without dignity becomes fear, not influence. 27. Praise the slightest improvement. People improve more when progress is noticed. Encouragement strengthens effort. Recognition fuels confidence. If you want growth, do not only notice failure. Notice improvement too. 28. Give the other person a fine reputation to live up to. When you show people the better version of themselves, they often rise toward it. If you say, you're reliable, you're thoughtful, you handle things well, they often want to live up to that image. This is one of the most beautiful ideas in the book. People often grow into the identity they believe is seen in them. 29. Use encouragement. Make the fault seem easy to correct. If change feels impossible, people give up. If it feels possible, they try. So when you guide people, frame improvement as achievable. Encouragement supports action. Hopelessness kills it. 30. Make the other person happy about doing the thing you suggest. If you want cooperation, help people feel good about the action. Show meaning. Show fairness. Show value. People respond better when they feel respected, not used. And this brings us back to the heart of the whole book. The core message of the book. So what is How to Win Friends and Influence People really saying? It is saying this. People respond better to respect than to criticism. They open up more to understanding than to pressure. And they trust those who make them feel valued. This is why the book remains powerful after so many years. Because human nature remains human nature. People still want respect, appreciation, understanding, dignity, and connection. And if you understand that, your relationships improve. Your communication improves. Your leadership improves. Your influence improves. Not because you are controlling people, but because you are dealing with them wisely. If you want to become better with people, this book gives you a practical path. It teaches you to criticize less, appreciate more, listen better, argue less, understand more, and protect people's dignity. These are not flashy tricks. They are timeless principles. And the more you practice them, the more effective you become in every part of life. Because success with people is rarely built on force. It is built on emotional intelligence, sincerity, and respect. How to Win Friends and Influence People teaches that real influence begins when you stop focusing only on yourself and start understanding what matters to others.